As the weather starts getting colder for a lot of us succulent growers, we start thinking about growing our plants inside under lights. And there's a lot of conflicting information on doing this. And I'm here to talk about one myth in particular. It's actually two myths, but they kind of go hand in hand. And that is the photoperiod color spectrum myth. All right, well, the myth goes like this. If you want to grow your succulents inside under lights and you want them to flower, you're going to have to switch bulbs to a more red-orange color spectrum or your plants will not flower. So that's saying that if you're growing under cool white fluorescence or a blue spectrum bulb, whatever the case may be, when you're in that color spectrum, your plants will not flower unless you switch to a more orange color. Also, hand in hand with that, you have to switch the color spectrum as well as the photoperiod. The photoperiod is the hours of light that your plant gets each day. So if you're running them 18 hours on, 6 hours off, the myth says that in order for them to flower, you have to have the color spectrum correct, and you need to switch the photoperiod from 18/6 to 12 on, 12 off, or they will not flower. So let's address the first part of the myth, the part that states you have to switch to a more orange color spectrum. It's simply not true. It's 100% false. The color spectrum has nothing to do with whether your plants are going to flower or not. Now, color spectrum can influence the yield of certain types of plants. Say you're growing vegetables and you want a little bit higher of a yield, you might want to switch to a high pressure sodium bulb. So you're growing with a metal halide and you're getting ready to produce fruit, you might want to switch to that high pressure sodium bulb, but it's not a huge yield difference, so you could actually just keep using that metal halide if you wanted to. Now, when we're talking about growing succulents, not many of us are really concerned about how big of a yield our flowers are going to be. We're not really concerned with the flowers that much at all. They're just a nice bonus. You know, speaking from my own experience, I want a nice tight rosette or, compact plant, lots of offsets. So I'm not even worried about the flowering. And I'm just going to continue to use my cool white blue spectrum bulbs to promote that type of growth, to promote the stockier, just more full plants. Especially if I'm a seller, I want to get as many offsets as possible. I don't even care about the flowers. I'm pulling the flowers off so they can just focus on their vegetative growth. So color spectrum, again, has nothing to do with triggering the flowering process. If you have a metal halide bulb or cool white fluorescence, blue spectrum LED, whatever the case is, as far as your color spectrum goes, in that regard, there's no need to change your bulbs. Your plants are going to flower just fine. The color spectrum has nothing to do with it. Now, photoperiod can have something to do with it with certain plants. But in my experience, growing mostly Haworthia and Echeveria, I never once changed to a 12-12 lighting period. It just was not necessary. The Haworthias just flower like crazy constantly. There was no need to do any of that. I never switched bulbs to different color spectrum. I just stuck with the color spectrum that I had. And I like to keep my lights on for 18 hours on, 6 hours off. Now, I used to do 20 on, 4 off. I've done 24 on, but it's just depending on the bulbs you're using. At that time, I was using a 1,000-watt metal halide bulb, and I had them on 20 hours a day and then off for 4 hours a day. And that's a lot of electricity. And the more offsets and the better growth I was getting from my Haworthia and my Echeveria, it wasn't substantially large amount to where I was like, oh, I need to keep that giant bulb running extra. So if 18 hours on and 18 hours on and 6 hours off is going to be sufficient, then I'm just going to do that. Some people will do 16/8. If you want to do that, I mean, I suppose that's fine. I prefer 18/6 because I know I'm getting that robust growth. Now, with that robust growth comes other things you're going to have to consider. You're going to be watering more frequently, fertilizing more frequently, stuff like that. So you just need to balance those things out to what's best for your situation. Now, like I said before, some plants will require that 12 hours on, 12-hour off photoperiod, but there's not a lot of them. I believe Crassula is one of them, but I had a Crassula flower under my lighting regimen, but I had a lot that didn't flower as well. As far as I can remember, that was a while ago, and I didn't have very many of them. But again, I didn't really care. I wasn't growing them for the flowers. I just want that robust, very tight growing plant that has lots of offsets and is a bushier plant. So the flowers didn't even really matter to me. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you hit that thumbs up button. Feel free to leave a comment below. There's a black cat in the background, and it is Halloween. But anyway, go ahead and leave a comment below. I'm sure there's going to be comments on this video so we could get a conversation going. Share this video. Subscribe if you'd like. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween, and you have a wonderful day.